Wednesday Night Live podcast with Izzy and Rekwel. This is our first episode.
Yeah.
Where we talk about anything and everything. Career, music, parenting.
Fat life.
The fat life.
I'm like, bro, I'm so hot right now. There's like 3 lights. Like so bright.
We're newbies to this, so
bear
with us. It will get better.
It's funny because it went from like just having like us up close. You know, it's like.
Yeah, we used to go live on Facebook, and so now we're doing it live here on our new podcast. What else do we talk about here besides career, family, kids?
Relationship.
Yeah, complain about my exes.
Old relationships.
Storytelling, old relationships. How we got here.
Yeah.
So, Omar, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm DJ Rekwel. If you know me, you probably call me Rek. So if on our YouTube, it's Izzy and Rek. I think just over time, I just want to make it shorter. I'm tired of like explaining the word like, oh, where'd you get that from? Like, it's just dumb. I just put 2 words together and made my own word. I think it's the dumbest thing.
Proud of you.
Thanks. Look at me, I'm making words.
And so for those who don't know, we are a couple at the moment. I'm a photographer. I'm a local photographer out of Fresno, California. I have done almost anything and everything in the photography industry, from commercial studios, corporate studios, to my own private studio, which is where we're recording in today. And this year I'm celebrating my 20th anniversary as, well, in the photography industry. So whoop,
congratulations.
Yep, I started when I was.
I'm gonna do the cue, like the cues, like.
We'll save that for later.
Okay.
Let's just get through this segment.
All right.
Okay. I started when I was 17, so do the math. I'm gonna be 37 this year. And we thought, what a better way to start a podcast and venture into a couple of other new things, impart some wisdom on young entrepreneurs, single mothers, young women, young men as well, and kind of show you the other side of what, pursuing your dreams has to offer. Everyone talks about flopping, and this is the one time that you get to see something actually work out. So, not to brag or anything, but...
no, but it ends up, it happens. And
with hope to inspire, and, when you feel like you're sinking, keep going, because it will happen for you. Stick it out. We kind of figured today's segment, we wanted to kind of just reintroduce ourselves. We do a lot of, we have a lot of social media presence on Facebook and Instagram, but with the podcast, we know we are going to generate a different set of viewers. So just to kind of, recap and introduce ourselves for this segment, we kind of wanted to dive in first, our background and how we got into what we're doing. You want to go first?
I'm already nervous.
Are you? You're sweating profusely.
Thanks. Yeah. I feel like a grilled hot dog right now. Just
you have a napkin to
up.
wipe your face.
What's sad is that this napkin just has... It's just done. The napkin's just a sponge.
It's like a baby wipe.
It's like a wet sponge. Yeah, it's just like a baby wipe. I spit everywhere right now.
Oh my God.
Sure. So, all right.
When did you start DJing?
Okay.
Start there.
I started when I was 14.
I'm going to interview you. How about that? Go on.
That works better.
Go on. Where are you from?
I'm from Kerman, a small town out of Fresno, about 15 minutes out of Fresno.
Middle of nowhere.
Yeah. I love it though. I mean, I think I was as I was younger, I hated it. I always just wanted to come to the big city of Fresno, and little that I know is gonna be so much smaller than what it is. But anyways, I was 14. I worked in the fields. My dad was a foreman, and he's like, "Yo, if you want anything like nice shoes and nice things, you got to work for it." So I did. I had my first check, and I could have gotten shoes. I could have gotten anything, but I was watching Jazzy Jeff on like MTV, and he was DJing for Will Smith, and I was like, I just thought it was cool. I didn't know what he was doing. I was like, what is he? But he looked like he was having fun, and I was like, what the hell is he doing? So I just seen a turntable, and I remember that Guitar Center had turntables. So I asked my sister if she could just take me one day, and so
Yeah.
we kind of just window shopped.
Yeah.
And it was so sweet because she asked me what I liked, and you know how like when you take your son or you take like Jade, for instance, and you're like, me, how do you like this? And you want her to like it because you kind of like it, and you think it's the best thing for her.
Yeah.
But little do you know, she's just
Persuade
saying,
my kids into liking certain
she's
things.
just
Yes,
saying
of
yeah
course.
because you're just like pointing at things, just
Yeah.
yeah, you know. And I think I was just so excited that I was like, oh yeah, that's cool, you know. But eventually, I ended up going back and buying a turntable, just like one, and just trying to figure it out. And for Christmas, that one thing that I said yes to, that I totally forgot I said yes to. She's like, "Hey, I got it for you. Like, Merry Christmas." And I'm just looking at it, and I'm like, I don't know what this is, because it was like a CD DJ set, but like you had to put the CDs in, like it like popped open,
Yeah.
and kind of like a boombox. Remember the old
Oh.
boomboxes that you pop
Yeah.
open? They popped open. You put the CDs in, you pop them back, and you just close them. But you can't like, they're not CDJs where like you can scratch them or nothing. You just play and rewind or fast forward
Oh.
and keep
Oh.
on.
That's rude.
But she didn't know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was so grateful. I
Oh,
was
that's
like,
rude.
dude. But I was so grateful.
But you're still grateful, yeah.
I was like, you know what? You had the best intentions, and I have a turntable now, and maybe I can make this work. And yeah, like my best friend at the time, shout out to Roy and his dad. His dad had a cumbia band, and they had like a tour bus and everything. And we would go like to just help out with like speakers. And one time he's like, "Hey, make sure that you and Omar Roy get your stuff and take it with us." I'm like, "Why?" Like, "Oh, you're gonna DJ." And I'm like, "I don't have nothing but like mixed CDs, like Baby Bash, you know, maybe like Freak a Leak in these mixed CDs."
Yeah.
But sometimes you might get some Slipknot, you know. Like, it was just random because I didn't know I was gonna actually DJ. I just like the aspect of it. Like, I thought it was really cool. And he's just like, "All right, get on the mic." And I'm like 14 years old. Like,
Oh my god.
yeah, it was tough because but I think he encouraged us to be like, "Yo, if you don't learn now, you're never gonna do it."
Yeah.
And so from there, I was like, you know what? He's right. And then after that, every gig I thought about like that, because I till to now, like, that's why I'm so sweaty. I'm hot, but I'm also like nervous. But I think I've always dealt with like I don't know, social anxiety. Even in high school, it was really bad. I thought I was bad, and then one time I had a friend that went up and did like a whole like speech, and he spoke just Spanish, and he did it in English, and he was drenched, and I'm like, okay, I do look like that, but at least I'm fat. Like, so
They're not gonna know
that's
you're nervous
embarrassing.
because
You're
they're like,
skinny,
"Oh,
you're
it's like because
sweaty.
he's a big
I'm
man."
fat. But anyways,
Oh my.
he's actually really cool. I forgot his name, but he's really cool. And after that, it was just like a drug. And no, really, like my friends' parents knew that I was DJing. I think word got around, and they're like, "Hey, can you DJ my birthday party?" And they kind of used me as like a daycare. We're gonna drink, but Omar's gonna play music for you guys, and they're
Yeah.
just like, yeah, you know. So I played a lot of like middle school birthday parties. Yeah, shout out to the Gonzalez family, Flores family, Lopez family. Like, they would always get me. Like, it was awesome. And from there, I think by high school, I kind of already built a name,
Yeah.
and I couldn't really let it go because getting my first gig, I kind of rushed in getting my DJ name because, like I said, I just got Rek, like recording or record, and then like a job that well done, and I just kind of put together. And then from there, like by the time I was a senior, I was already doing like college parties, and I got a bug. Like I just couldn't let it go. I was like, my dad's like, "Where's all your money?" I'm like, gas, because I'm not getting paid for these gigs. Like some of them I was, but some of them like I just want to party.
Yeah.
And so it was like me just in my truck.
But you had
in
a love
Holland.
for it, and
Oh,
I
I
think
loved it.
that makes a difference when you are doing things for free and getting started. Like
Yeah.
it's fun and you're learning, and you didn't know that you're building a career out of it at that time. It could have just been just for fun, and you know.
And you know what? For a long time, I really thought that it was just that. Even when like in college, I tried college, but even in college, I was like, I don't want to do anything else but DJ. Like nothing was interesting to me. Even like I would do sales jobs. I like the adrenaline of sales. Like that was really fun. Like this is really like it builds my adrenaline. Like I'm like, I love it. And sales would do that to me. And even though I sucked, I would stumble like over my words, just like I do.
I work
now.
with you. I know.
Yeah, exactly. But it's because I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I see my son do it too. Lewis does it all the time.
Yeah.
But because we're so excited and we want to get it out, but we just like need to relax. But yeah. And then by the time like I was 21, I had already kind of knocked on everybody's door as far as bars. Like
Yeah.
some of them just thought I was 21 and just let me play. But I noticed that I was the only person actually going to bars and asking like, let me DJ. And so by the time like I had my name, people kind of look at me like, how is he around? Well, I'm like, I'm not waiting for somebody to like give me a gig. I'm like,
Yeah, you're not waiting for a call. You're going and getting everything.
And so by the time I was like 22, I had already DJed at every like small club, like yeah, like the ones you don't want to go to.
I want to go to those. I went to those. I was there supporting those
all
nights.
the small bars. I'm like, want to go?
I like all the little
there?
dive bars.
I'm like, we can go anywhere else. She goes, no, I want to go to dive bar. I'm like, I want to get shot. Like,
Okay, that doesn't. Don't say that, because if people have that idea that that's what Fresno is, truly, 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 if you're minding your own business, you're not out there looking for trouble. You're not beefing with
you
people.
might get scratched. If you
Like you stay out of the way. But really, in all the years that I've gone out, and not that I'm saying I was a huge party girl, but you know, being in the photography industry, and at the time I did a lot of shows and so forth.
If you mind your business, you're fine.
Nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever ran into a situation where I was like,
100%.
oh my God, I was in danger.
Yeah.
And I did that for several years, and I'm talking like Thursday, Friday, Saturday night.
I think I was traumatized like when I was recently out of high school and going to like these Fresno parties that I didn't know who was throwing them.
Probably
and
went to my house party.
As soon as you get there, it's like pat pat pat, and it's like, all right, get back in your
no,
car.
not my house party.
Get back in your car. Yeah.
Yeah, no. At what point do you think that you're just like, okay, this is it? Like, because I know that with everyone's career, like, especially when you're an entrepreneur or you're starting a hobby, and it could be anything, makeup, hair, event decorating and so forth. At some point you realize, okay, I've been doing this for a while. I've been practicing on a budget. And where did you realize, okay, this is where my investment and time is truly going to be? The 40 hours a week that I probably should be at a job.
Yeah.
I'm putting it towards this because now I see something turn around for me. I see a future in this.
So there was a time where I was like, I think I got fired from.
You got fired?
Oh yeah. I was so cocky. I thought I was such a badass.
How old are you?
I was 20. Oh my goodness.
Don't say what you did, but just how old are you?
3 maybe. I got fired from a local radio station, and I was a salesman. But I kind of got the job just to see the ins and outs. Like I kind of already had the idea of like, okay, I'm not gonna get on because as a DJ because I don't have that kind of like my name's not big enough for them to be like, yeah, you should hop on. And I was young too. Mm-hmm. So they were looking for like a sales position. I heard on the radio and I was like, dude, I can get this job. Like easy. So I went, I talked my ass off and immediately like the day I got that job. Like I was
Yeah.
hired the next day. But I was so like, I I wasn't meeting quota. Like I was just kind of like reaping the benefits. Like I was like really like I'm in,
Yeah.
and I got to meet a lot of like celebrities. And to be honest, I kind of just did it just to see, you know. And then when I realized, I'm like, not to like talk down on radio, but the radio went down. Obviously, like the music industry is just not what it used to be,
Mm-hmm.
and once I started realizing that, I got really, really depressed for music. Like,
Yeah.
because I'm like, this really sucks. It's not what you don't put out an album and promote the album and then have events for the album. And then, like, it's just not that anymore. It's either you just drop music, you do an interview, and then you do it again. And that's really what it is now. And once I realized, like, there's no room to grow, I kind of like, it was when everybody was switching to like a streaming, and I think at that point, oh, when I got fired, I I went back to work in the fields with my dad. I was like, Dad, I need a job. Like I got fired. I need something, and he always has work. So once I started working with like these guys that were working, 10, 12 hours in the sun, and I started realizing I'm like, dang, I could make what they make in one day in an hour or two
Yeah.
just DJing.
I think a lot of first generation kids that grow up here in this area, I feel almost anywhere in the Central Valley and then going up north, like at some point their parents worked the fields, and either you were taken there as a child or to either work or hang out,
Yeah.
or you worked there on in summers. And in a sense, it's one of those experiences where it you appreciate experiencing that in the very end, because you kind of experience what you don't want to do
Yeah.
and what your parents have been talking about, your whole life. My parents would say the same thing. Like, look, my dad worked before he was a construction worker. He worked at a factory, and he's just like, look, I have to work, 13, 14 hours a day sometimes. I come home soaked, and, from hot water or bleach or whatever, whatever he's doing that day at the factory. And, and then even when he went on to do construction, he's like, look, I'm out in the sun all day. This is not ideal.
Yeah.
This is my dream, because this job is still better than anything I would have done in Mexico.
Yeah.
But this shouldn't be your dream.
Yeah.
Your dream should be to surpass whatever I'm doing. He would just tell me, he's like, are you hot? Because he took us when we were little to the field. So I didn't work as an adult. God, I did not want to go back. I went
No,
when I was
that
like,
humbled me 100%.
yeah, I was like 9 years old.
But
and
you know what?
I
Like,
would cry.
honestly, I learned so much. Like, I think without that, I would have no morals. Like, I really learned that sometimes that's all somebody's gonna do for the rest of their life. Like,
Yeah.
and you have to take it, and you kind of have to appreciate that.
I was only there for a summer when I was 9 years old, and I cried. And my dad just looked at me and he's like, "Are you hot? Are you tired? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to go home." He's like, "This is why you get your career. You find what you like, or you go to school for it, or do whatever you're gonna do, so you can sit in your air conditioned office, so you can be indoors.
Yeah.
You can call the shots and not have someone tell you when you can sit, when you can eat, when you can take a lunch break, when you can go home. Like, you call the shots. If you don't want to work that day, don't work."
Yeah.
And that was very, even just at 9 years old, it was very eye opening. So I get that, and I feel like a lot of kids here in the valley get that kind of privilege to see that, so that they do go back and they're like, nah, I'm gonna go back
You
to
know what?
school. I'm gonna do more.
Privilege. I mean, you gotta like really take whatever is. You deal with whatever like is your life gives you, but in a sense, like for instance, like my brother is a teacher and he's teaching these kids that are agricultural background kids, and they just did like a competition recently, and they're competing against schools like Clovis and schools that are meant to do well regardless. Like they have the funding, they have the That's basically what they have. They have the funding. They have money, parents with money that can sponsor these things, and like technically they're supposed to be the kids that do something good with whatever they're go to school with or go to school for. But the fact that like a small school like Herman competes and sometimes beats them is really, and it's not like people get transferred to Kerman or you not just Kerman, but like Fowler, Singer. You kind of get what you get, and as far as kids, like you get what you get, and a lot of them are from agricultural backgrounds. Yeah, but even this and the athletes too. So it's really cool. I have a lot of respect for the small towns around the big cities. I have a special place for them in my heart.
Anyways.
But no, it is cool though. It is cool, and you learn a lot. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
But anyways.
So now what are you doing?
So now I'm doing podcasts. Living the good life.
I was wondering what you were looking at over here. I've been looking at the phone. Like, I'm on pause real quick. Can you guys all hear us? We can cut this part out of the video, but if you guys can all hear us, let us know. Thumbs up. I can see my screen from over there on the big screen over here, so I can see if you guys are commenting. Thank you guys for hanging in there. You guys are showing a lot of support. I appreciate it. We don't have as many viewers as we usually do, but it's also 10:17.
The audio is so far now.
I think you have to project still.
Yeah.
Because I'm still projecting so that they can hear me.
Yeah, I totally forgot. I can hear myself here.
So Maggie Regalado said yes, you can hear. I don't know if you know Izzy, but I did some. I can't read that far. And the summer between sophomore year, and I picked onions. Oh yeah, I remember when that's my brother that's commenting on there. Hey Carlos, thank you for watching my podcast. Yeah, my brother picked onions. I remember he would smell horrendous, but he would come home with like sacks of onions, and we're just like, what are we gonna do with all of them?
Who eats all this?
But okay, so
I'm here, and now I get to DJ every weekend and live my best life. Really, I couldn't ask for more. I really love what I'm doing here now, especially here with like the studio. I get to like use whatever I, kind of gain through sales and graphic design, and I'm able to help the business, and then on the weekends get to do what I do, which I love it. And I mean, sometimes they'll book me and they'll book like other events throughout the night, and sometimes I only DJ for maybe an hour, but I'm there and I'm getting paid, so it's awesome. I love it. And
I feel like even though you and I haven't been together for a long time, I think that in just this short amount of time that we have been together, which is just shy of 2 years. Oh, next week, huh? Mm-hmm. Oh, it'll be 2 years next week. Next Wednesday night. Legit. So
it lands on a Wednesday?
It lands on a Wednesday. We got to. Wow. So, I feel like I've seen you improve so much, because I know that there was a time where you kind of took a break from DJing, and kind of COVID I think played into that as well.
Yes. COVID was weird.
But I mean, the leaps that I've seen you do, were like, it's hard to take your business or take your craft of what you've done and built your name and and say, okay, I'm open to partnering with you. I'm open to working with you, because sometimes the other person doesn't follow through and that falls back. And I have that happen a lot in my career. But the fact that you've trusted in certain people and the people have panned out that you've worked with, and I've seen your career just kind of grow, and it's been cool. Like, it's been neat to kind of watch, because I don't do DJing for nothing. So I am a pure supportive cheerleader on the sidelines. I know my place.
And I love you for that.
So yeah, and it's cool. Like, I mean, the corporate gigs that I've seen, just I've never heard, with the exception of maybe one or two DJs, that I've actually heard of them being like booked every single weekend, sometimes twice a week, and like, that's tight,
Thank you.
I didn't know. I was hoping you would mention all that, but I'll mention it for you. But
and you know what? I'm in the moment right now. Like, I really am. Like, sometimes I'm like that little break that I had?
We're surviving in the moment, but seriously. we're here for it.
But you know how like I had that little break in the beginning of the year? Mm-hmm. Oh, I was counting my Saturdays. I'm like, oh, I get to have this Saturday and I get to have this Friday, and I'm like, I get to go to sleep early and I get to spend time with the kids. I was because I'm like, it's I mean,
It's not. It's a
it's a
nonstop.
blessing.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's a blessing that I have all these gigs. But for instance, I I get my son Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes Monday if I drop him off at school in the morning. But if I'm working Friday night, Saturday night, and these gigs, they're weddings, so I'm not. It's not like I'm
They're
clocking
12-hour
in.
gigs,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
not clocking in. At 9 and clocking out at 5. I'm clocking in at 10, 11, 12 around there, and getting home at 11, 12.
Well, 12, 1 o'clock by the time you clean up and get back. Yeah.
I'm gone most of the day. Don't get me wrong, it's worth it. Like
It's worth it.
With 1 week, with one Saturday, I basically worked the whole week.
Mm-hmm.
But I also lost time with my son, and that sucks. But that's why, like, when we have these breaks or when we have our vacation.
We go all out with our
yes,
kids. We are very much 100% parents, and so when we do
and we
see
get some
breaks, free
backlash. But hey,
evenings,
you know what? It's worth it for us. So that's all that matters.
it's rough. But that's why sometimes you'll see us kind of on a whim. We'll be like, let's go to Disneyland. Like we have the weekend off, or we can, spare a Monday off and so forth. Just because we both work in an industry where Friday, Saturday, and Sunday,
That's the meat.
everyone wants to book us when,
homo.
they have their time off. Well, also that entails our kids also having their time off from school. So we do miss out. And we try our best to kind of still balance that and maybe some days not work full days, especially here in the studio. We have a little bit more flexibility to kind of pick our hours. But we do hear it from the kids sometimes.
Yeah.
But we make up for it. We do overcompensate very much, and we do the whole Disneyland thing. Their birthday parties, 100%.
We put a lot of money and time into them too, so they should be grateful when they get older. I hope. Because I didn't have a big party. I remember I had a share party because my sister.
You had a share party?
Yeah, because my sister's birthday is a week after mine. So sometimes when I was younger, my parents don't think I remember. I remember. And I know Deanie didn't like it. Yeah, it sucked.
I know you and your sister are a week apart, but she got to pick the theme and she picked a girl theme.
I don't remember.
Are you talking about share like CHER?
CHA.
You said we had a share party. Oh, okay.
Share.
I thought you were like Share the singer. I was like, no wonder. I'm sorry, my bad. We had to SHARE. We'll cut that out. We'll cut that out of the segment. I had a moment here.
Oh
Someone doesn't know how to enunciate. Anyways.
But yes. I do remember. I don't know how many times we did it though. I do remember at some point I realized I'm like, so this is it? Well, it sucks because it's my birthday, her birthday, Christmas, New Year's.
Yeah, I hate that your birthday is like in my Christmas season. It was not like, okay, look, you guys, just so y'all know, when I held interviews for boyfriends, I made sure that I asked them their birthdays because God forbid you get in the way of my Christmas season. So you were not allowed to have a birthday after Thanksgiving. And
here I am.
And then here comes Omar. And but the thing is, we'd known each other from the past and stuff. So I think it just made it easier. Otherwise, I would have just been like, oh, your birthday's what, December 10th? Absolutely not. It's still a challenge now because his dad so badly wants to do things with him on the weekends or on the weekend of his birthday. And he's like, no, Dad, I got to work.
He'll make you feel bad.
Yeah, and he'll make him feel bad.
He'll make me try to make me feel bad about it.
Yeah. And anyways, so let's move on.
So, where did Isabel Orduno start? Did it start in high school, right?
It did start in high school. I was a senior at Sunnyside High School. Shout out.
Did you have interest in photography before then?
Okay. I had taken like a photography class. I had gone to Computech and I took a photography class my 8th grade year for a little bit. And I thought it was cool. I think it was just one of those classes, like if you took like their art course, you took like a semester of, say, an art class and then a semester of photography. So it was like a combo class.
And this isn't
And
what photography is now, though, right?
no, this is film photography. Um, Many ages ago, but it was
But that's cool, though.
it was the whole negative process and everything, and I was okay at it. It didn't really click to me like how everything still functioned, but I was okay at it. And I was like, photography's cool, it's whatever. And then in high school, I got into theater. I was more into singing, that type of arts. Um, and I was getting ready to go to theater college because I had my heart set that I was going to be a stage actress or something, some sort of actress. And my mom was like, "Well, hey, your brother just went to theater college and that shit was expensive. So guess what? We're not paying for it. So if you want to go, Isabel, you got to be able to pay for it yourself. We're not doing it again." And I was like, "Wow." And I'm the straight A student. Like, I'm the straight A child. I was the golden child here, okay? And so, me thinking, okay, well, then I'll go get a job. Like, I'll save some money, not realizing how expensive college is. How the thinking, as a kid, you don't think of that. You don't think of rent. You don't think of food. You don't think
None
of
of
any of
that.
that. You just think, oh, I'm gonna go and live my dreams.
Yeah.
And so I kind of realized, like, at the time, I was working at like a pizza place. I had little like babysitting jobs here and there, and I was self sufficient, very independent. I got around like on the city bus. I knew my way around Fresno. So I rarely had to ask for like rides from my parents. So they kind of, I think they were tired of being parents. So like by the time I was about 16, they kind of were like, "You good?
You
Okay,
got this, right?
bye." She's smart. She's the smartest one. And so um, I ended up so I realized I was like, I'm kind of on my own with a lot of this. And so I was like, I need to just work and save some money and figure out where maybe I can go. And I ended up running into a cousin of mine at Sears one time, and she had mentioned that she worked for the photo studio, and she's like, "Hey, go put your application in." And so I did. I was like, "Cool, yeah, you know what? I am outgoing. You're right. So let me go do that." So at that time though, I was 16, and I went downstairs. It was the Sears in Manchester, so I went downstairs and I ran into the assistant manager named Melissa Moda, and she really liked me. We got to talking. She really liked me. And then she looked at my age and she's like, "Shoot, I can't hire you. I can only hire you until you're 17. So then fast forward, my mom, tells me like, "Hey, we don't have that money to send you. I'm sorry. Like, we could barely do it with your brother. We can't do it again."
Yeah.
So, she took me, I asked her to take me back to Sears once I turned 17, and I reapplied again, and I said, "Hey, you guys interviewed me last year. You told me to come back again. I just turned 17. It was right before, so my birthday is July 16, and my anniversary of working as a photographer was August 4th. And so just that's how quickly it went, and they hired me. And I think originally they hired me for like Christmas help, because I sucked. Like, I mean,
You're starting off.
yeah, I'm starting off. I'm still learning how to work a register, how to even talk to people. Just, you thought you had social anxiety. I had social anxiety. When especially if you're out of your comfort zone. My comfort zone was theater, which is just memorize lines and things that I memorized in the privacy of my room and then just performed it. This is actually me talking to people and holding conversations. And it was a little difficult for me, but they kept me on. And as time went on, I got better and I got better. And before I knew it, it was graduation. I didn't end up going to college. At that time, I think I registered maybe last minute with the city college. And I just had a tough time. Like, when you kind of don't feel like you have, like, someone to kind of, like, support you or guide you.
Yeah.
I had no clue, like, and not to throw it on my brothers, but one of my brothers was living out of town. Another brother He's 13 years older than me, so he's doing his own thing. So I didn't really have anyone to ask, like, how do I do this? How do I navigate college? And I think that's why I'm always big on, like, my employees or anyone that I know that is graduating. Like, hey, if you need help, let me know. I will
Yeah.
help you. It's not as scary. I had to learn a lot of it. Even just applying for financial aid, just trial and error. So I went to college. And I failed out. I failed out so bad, several times back to back, that the college dismissed me for a year. And so during that time, I ended up having my son. And shortly after I had my son, I left his dad. We just were not functioning. I just knew that we were two totally different people, and we were growing to two totally different people. And at 19, 20 years old, you're not going to be the same person that you are in your 30s, or you're growing into as in adulthood, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Who let me have a kid? I don't know. But
Yeah, we say that to each other.
I say it all the
Well,
time. But
we make the most inappropriate jokes, and then I'm like looking back, and I'm like, damn, I got a car full of kids.
right, we got a car full of kids. But I'm kind of jumping around, like, just to kind of get through the whole the career path section. I became very quickly. I became a manager at the photo studio. I did that for about a year, and I very quickly realized I do not want to work for someone else, and I do not want to be micromanaged. Or at that time there was a transition of photo studios transitioning from film to digital, and the photography industry was changing tremendously. And I mean, Sears no longer exists now. The photo studio, well, I think the store altogether doesn't exist. I'm not
Yeah.
sure, but they just weren't keeping up, and it was very hard to be graded on your sales numbers when the company itself wasn't giving you the tools that you needed to be successful.
Yeah.
And I felt like the company was more so putting the blame on the employees versus, hey, do some self reflection. You're not keeping up.
How old are you at this point?
I was 20, almost 21.
And then you decided to go on your own.
So I decided that I knew that with Sears, I had gone so far and wanted this position so bad because I thought it was going to be like my ticket.
Yeah.
Cool. It's going to, take care of me and my kid. We have our own apartment. And I mean, minimum wage at the time was $8 an hour. Oh, I hit this. $8 an hour. And I was getting paid like 15, 16. So almost double. But when you're a single parent, you split that in half. And I'm still making $8 an hour trying to make up for, dad's part that's
Yeah.
not there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was still struggling to pay my rent. I was struggling to buy food. I was struggling for everything. And because I had a job, we didn't qualify for any social services.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things like, what do I do? If I continue here, I'm actually more stuck than if I quit. I know that I can't really go down, you know what I mean? Because if I go down in position, you're always still in a sense expected to kind of perform at a higher quality than everyone else because they know you can.
Yeah.
So I decided, you know what? This is the end of the road here for Sears for now. So I put in my 2 weeks. I ended up getting hired on with a company that was starting out in the hospital. They had just gotten a fresh contract. They were doing newborn pictures out of Clovis and Fresno. When I actually got hired and through a friend had recommended me for it. And it just happened to be like, I leave Sears a year after being a manager, and then boom, like I land this job a week later. And the company was having trouble like getting it on its feet as far as selling packages and so forth. And I'm like, well, you're not doing any poses, you're not doing any greeting cards, you're not doing collages, like you guys are just laying a baby down and snapping photos. Like that doesn't give me a reason to want to buy pictures,
Yeah.
So I kind of helped them out and just kind of like remapping what they were doing, redesigning what they were doing, giving some helpful tips. And they're just like, why are you helping us? I said, you know why? Because I just need a job.
Yeah.
I quit my job to go back to college to do this the right way. I want to have my own photo company. I want to do this for myself, for my kid. I have a kid. I need you guys to just guarantee me 30 hours a week. That's all I need. It's okay if you pay me minimum wage, but I need to just do this so that I can clock in, clock out, and you guys don't call me after hours, and just work around my school hours. Am I tapping?
Picking up the mic. So how long were you there though? So like, how long did that last throughout your whole call? Like,
So
because you
kind of fast forwarding through this. So I was at the hospital taking pictures for about a year. I did not like the quality that they were working with or working at, and they were not wanting to fix. I'm trying to not bash this company, but I did not enjoy working for them at all. And I did not want to be associated with their type of quality. Because I knew that something told me like one day I'm going to be a well-known photographer, and the last thing I need is someone associating me with like a crappy company
yeah,
and being like, well, if she thought that was good, why are we gonna hire her on the outside, you know?
yeah,
So I ended up getting a job on the actual floor of Fresno Community Hospital as an obstetrician aide. And I did that for, I think, a couple of years. I got hired on full time. And I just went around and I was living my best life. I loved it. I was on the postpartum floor, so that's where you go after you recover from having a baby. And my job was to go around and give diapers, bottles, assist the moms, take the babies to the nursery, help moms with teaching them how to wrap their baby. I would translate a lot too. I translate to Spanish for a lot of the doctors and the nurses, and there was always things to do. You know, you're always on your feet, but it was easy work.
yeah,
And it was guaranteed hours. There were 10-hour shifts, so I worked 4 days a week, and I was able to really focus on school.
yeah.
This was around like 2008, 2009, 2010 time.
Uh-huh.
And the hospitals were actually really struggling, really bad. And the economy was doing really bad. People were losing their jobs left and right. And the hospital, that floor ended up having to make budget cuts. I was in my last year, I want to say. I had one more year left of college. I was going for a photography degree at the city college because they actually offered an associate's in photography, and it was a 4-year program. I had just gotten my new a car too, because my other car had taken a crap, and my dad was like, "Hey, I'm gonna help you out and co-sign. You know, just make sure you pay this bill." Like a week after that, the hospital had to let me go. But they did give me like a severance check. They had to let me go because they were trying to get rid of people that didn't have any kind of medical licensing or degree.
Because they just kind of picked you up.
They
right?
kind of picked me up. They saw me working on the floor with the clients as a photographer, and they loved me, and so they pulled me that way. So I was still on the same floor, just different position, different scrubs.
Yeah.
And so when they did let me go, they gave me a severance check, and it was like all of my PTO that I never used. Any
Yeah.
PTO I would have accrued for 3 months worth of pay, just all kinds of perks. And I guess it was like through like a Bush program, because Bush was pregnant president at the time, and
Well, Bush.
so my check
Got a
was
secret baby.
like, I want to say I want to say about $5,000, and it was, here's your severance check, you
Yeah.
know, and I looked at it like, what? Because think about it. I mean, this is 2009, and I'm making $8 an hour.
Yeah.
You know, I have only one child, so even if I did like my taxes, I'd never seen, you know,
That kind of a
that
check.
kind
yeah.
of check.
What'd you do?
So
Sign the
another
system.
thing had happened as well. I had appealed. So I had been going to school for a couple years without my financial aid because they had taken my financial aid away. So they just said, like, you have to prove to us that you're here to be serious. Remember, I got dismissed from a college.
Yeah.
So I got straight A's. I went to every class to show, like, no, I'm serious. I'm not some knucklehead student. Like, I'm actually a straight A student. I'm a good kid, you know? I'm a good mom now. But so I appealed it, and it took some time, and they approved it. And when they approved it, they paid me all the FAFSA I could have gotten on all the semesters that I did
Oh
well.
wow.
So I had like $10,000 sitting in my bank account
Oh,
at some
wow.
point. At like, And I just saw it as, you know what, like, this is my blessing from God. This is my push from God saying, you know what? Oh, and I was in a relationship and I got dumped real badly. Like, we'll get into that one day. But so I had just gotten out of a relationship. I was newly single. I was all heartbroken. I had just gotten a new car. And it was like 3 weeks later and I lose my job. And it was like right before
Just
summer
back to
started.
back to back.
It
Yeah.
was all back to back to back to back to back. And I mean, I had struggled, but at least this time when I struggled, like to buy food or to put gas in my car, or I had to take the city bus somewhere because my car took a crap, like I knew I kept going because I knew, like, okay, I'm working towards something. Like, you cannot stop and be stagnant, because if you do, this is where you're going to stay for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And you're going to stay broke, and you're going to stay struggling, and you're
Yeah.
going to stay living in your mom's back house, you know? And that was kind of my push all the time of finish school, finish school, finish school. You know what? It's okay that you're hungry now. You're going to eat fat later. Look at me now. So, um, I was so skinny though. To be my poor skinny self, oh, that would be so nice.
So okay, so at this point, you know you want to start your own business. You
Yes.
have money in the bank. Or do you invest? Or
I ended up going and investing in myself. I saved money to where I had payments, you know, for my car for at least a year or two, like to where I knew that, okay, I can't get this car taken away. My dad gave me a big opportunity and signed for a car for me. So I saved all of that. But I did go and I bought a new camera. At this time we had Boots. Do you remember Boots, the photo store? Are you too little? Oh, okay. So we had Boots. It was actually where Rasputin is now. And that used to be a camera store.
Oh yeah. I do remember that. Yeah.
Horn Photo was still coming up.
Uh-huh.
And so we have very few, and it's weird because it's California in the Central Valley, but we have very few photo stores available to us where you can walk in and buy
Telling
actual
me, I
photo
was
equipment.
Driving around everywhere today trying to figure out how to get these cables for these lights. We
So-
need more photography studio stores in Fresno.
Hey, idea. Anyways, so I went to Boots and I bought a new camera, I bought a new lens, I bought everything I needed. And so I stayed in contact with a lot of the nurses from the hospital, and I just told them, I said, hey, I'm starting out my photo business. Can I take your pictures? Like, and I'll print you like five by sevens out of it. And if you like your pictures, you can buy the CD for $50.
Yeah.
And that's just what I did. And I started, you know, and it was one nurse that told another nurse that told another nurse that told another nurse. And before you know it, I was working, you know, the whole floor.
Yeah.
I was getting photography gigs from the whole floor without me even being an employee there anymore.
Yeah.
But, you know, they were all telling each other, because at the time, being a photographer was not a thing yet. It was a thing, but it wasn't. Like, to do what I was doing as far as like family photography. Now, I mean, every other person is now a family photographer, and you know, it's a lot more accessible. Back then, I mean, it was like your golden ticket if you found someone that was good.
Yeah.
Because back then, you know, Picture People, Picture Me, JCPenney's, all of those places had taken over. So if you wanted family pictures, you ended up going to a commercial photo studio.
It became a corporate thing.
Yeah, so it was very much a corporate thing at the time. So, and you had to be like rich if you had a private photographer. You were rich. And it just took off from there. So I was able to finish my last year of school. I finished that. And at the time, I also started working and going into, I took a leap of faith, and I messaged a promoter. The promoter agreed to work with me, and I got into doing concert photography. From there, it just kind of, the wheel started really turning for me, and I was doing studio photography. I was doing weddings. I was doing, you know, concert
old are you
local
at this
shows.
point?
At this point, I must have been like 24, maybe.
Oh, you're still very young. So at this point,
Because Christian was about 3 or 4.
Are you only doing freelance?
So,
Or you were still at one of the?
what do you mean? At this point, I'm on my own already.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on my own. After the hospital, I'm completely
Yeah.
on my own. I'm lying. I'm lying. So right after I graduated, I got a phone call from a friend that worked at JCPenney's. and she had been a previous manager at Sears, and both of the managers, assistant and studio manager, were going to have to take a leave of absence, and they needed someone that they knew was trustworthy, knew how to run a photo studio, was qualified, so they called me. I named my price, I agreed to it, and I did that for about a little under a year.
Uh-huh.
And that was maybe now look like 2013 was when I left that company. I was fired, but we'll get into that another day. But from then on, from 2013 and on, for sure, it was just solely me. And why are you yawning through my interview?
But I've had a little too many beers. I'm over here chilling. I'm over here slouching now.
You're relaxing.
These IPAs,
I'm
man.
so glad you're not so sweaty no more.
I'm a lot cooler now.
So
I'm not talking, so I'm just chilling.
So since then, I ventured into everything. I'd photographed at the Selland Arena, and it was a lot of local stuff. I keep in mind I'm a mom. You know, I was still a mom, single mom to a kid. I was unfortunately in and out of relationships. Like everyone's got a sad story here. I got mine too. You know, but it worked out. At some point, I moved to Clovis and had a studio over there. Then I found this spot, and I've been here for the last 10 years. And once I had my daughters, my first daughter when I was 30, my second daughter when I was like 31 and a half or something, I really refocused everything, and I realized, you know what? I'm good on the concert stuff. Don't get me wrong, I miss it. I absolutely love it. I excelled in it. Everyone knew my name. That's how my name traveled real quickly. That's about the time that you and I had kind of met and ran into each other. Was I did a lot of show photography, but from then on,
let's backtrack a little bit. So so once you were at Clovis, you weren't like it was just photography, right?
Yeah.
Like you didn't have another job.
No.
Okay, so
no, from 2013 after I left JCPenney's, it's been just.
And then how old were you?
Self-employed. 26.
You're still very young.
About 26.
You gotta understand.
No, 25.
Yeah, that's 26? Extremely young to be able to like be on your own at that age, knowing that like if you don't have a gig, like you don't eat. Literally, like you don't eat.
Yeah.
At that age, like that's sink or swim.
Yeah. And I realized that maybe it's the ADHD in me, I don't know, but I noticed that I excel under pressure. Mm-hmm. If I let myself wait until the time is right, it never happens for me. Like I don't ever do it. I literally have to take these leaps of faith and just say, you know what? I know what I know. I've done the work. I've paid my dues, you know? It's going to work. Yeah. It's going to work. And I have enough people around me that, in my network of people that if I can't do it, I can reach out to, hey, I need advice, you know? And I mean, that's kind of where how can I put this? A lot of my relationships over the course of maybe the last 15 years have played a big part in the direction that I've gone with my career, or what has held me back, or where maybe I took the back seat and kind of helped push their careers forward, which is why now I'm sitting here freaking 20 years later and being like, okay, I'm good. Yeah. Like I'm good. I decided, 5 years ago, my focus is here. It's me. I'm not going to lose that. And I'm going to push myself, because if I don't, I'm never going to do it. And in the short, and I want to say truly, I've experienced what having this as a career is in the last 5 years. Yeah. Like truly being able to say, not only am I just paying my bills, but no, I'm living the lifestyle that I wanted for myself. Yeah. And look how quickly that came to fruition by just focusing on myself, rather than the 10 years before that focusing on, well, I'm going to help you make it too. And I kind of had to be greedy and a little bit selfish and just say, I need to take care of myself. 100%. Because now I find myself in, 2020, a single mom again of 3 kids this time. Mm-hmm. So I had to just shut the world out and say, you know what? I got to focus on myself. This has to work. Yeah. This has to work, because if not, I got to go teach or something, But I don't know anything else but photography. I've done this for since I was 17.
Yeah.
I don't know anything else unless you're going to pay me to act.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, I wouldn't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's, I think, and what I'm trying to get at is there's, for anybody starting off or just wanting to get into it, there's a lot of battles, not just with knowing
In the industry.
Yeah, but just not just knowing like your camera. There's still life, and there's still people in your life, and there's relationships, and there's kids. You really have to be your biggest cheerleader, your biggest supporter. It's almost, I don't want to say narcissistic, but you have to be selfish in order for you to really get what you want and the way you want it, and trust yourself. And if you don't trust yourself, there's so many things that like you went to, and as far as like managing, doing sales for another company, you knew that that was your ticket into the industry, and that you had to go through it. You had to learn. Sometimes taking the step back to really, grind it out and figure it out with whatever you're dealing with or whatever you want to get into, taking a manager position or just don't be afraid of taking that risk as a learning, like as long as you're learning and taking something from it, it's going to help in the end.
Yeah.
Don't feel like it's because it's not happening now. It's not happening. You've been doing it for 5 years. That's not enough. Like, you have to go through the trenches. And sometimes it's not just with what you're doing as far as, let's just say, photography, but sometimes you have to let go of the relationship that's not working for you. Let go of the friends that aren't working for you or are taking from you. Let go of those people that are being leeches, and unfortunately it sucks because you love these people. You really think that, because they've been there for me, they've dealt with whatever they've dealt with me. It's like sometimes they're probably the reason why you're going through these things. You have to be selfish sometimes and let them go and be very there's a book called One Thing, and that's probably one of the only books I've ever heard. Yeah, I listened to it, most of it.
Did you read it?
I read it, I listened to most of it.
What are you doing up here referencing books? I've never heard you reference a book in my life.
I'll listen to something though. But I actually got through that whole book, and it's really just focusing on just one thing, and being very just having that vision and knowing that it's gonna work for you, and you can't lose track of that because focusing on another relationship, and I'm not saying relationships aren't great, but sometimes if that's what you want in life, sometimes it's not with somebody. Maybe it's with somebody later. Figure your shit out first before you try to do something, and if it's not working out, it's not working out.
Yeah. I always reference back to God or and the universe and and whatever you believe in, but there's an energy out there as well that you put out into the world, and you get it back. I try to not get so religious and everything in all of our talks, but I'm a big believer in what you put out, you're going to receive back. Always be a good person. At some point, when your blessings do come back, they're gonna come back 3 times better. But also, and it just, like what anyone would tell you, surround yourself around like-minded people. I get it. I had friends that were from the hood that I felt bad letting go, but once I saw that, hey, dude, you're not doing nothing with your life. You're just sitting around smoking weed all day. You don't have a job. You don't want to try. You don't want to better your situation, but you want to sit here and you want to complain about it. You have an excuse for everything. Like, you have to get away from those toxic people sometimes for you to grow, for you to go in that right direction, and sometimes it's not what you want. And that's kind of one thing that I had to accept in life. I so badly wanted to be a wife, and it sounds so crazy because of the way I talk now, but at the time, like in my 20s, I so badly wanted to be a wife and have the family and have the house and do this and do that, and God was leading me to where I needed to be, and he kept turning me around saying, no girl, this shit ain't for you. This
Yep.
ain't for you. This ain't for you. And if you're gonna be hard headed, I'm gonna make some things happen to
Yep.
where you're gonna get this person away from you. And it wasn't until, like I said, in about 2020 that I did some self reflecting and just kind of like, what is going on with my life? Like, I'm now 32, ending my third marriage. Like, and I brought these babies into this world now that didn't ask to be here, that didn't ask for this situation. Like, what am I doing here? And I just kind of said, you know what? I can't be here boohoo me. I
Yeah.
can't be here like, well, I wanted to be a wife or I wanted to be this. No, you know what? Maybe my plan in life is the plan that's set for me is not to be that. Maybe, you know what, I'm seeing my business really take off. Maybe this is what I should have been doing this whole time instead of trying to build and force a family or force a home. Like, I should have been doing something else. I should have been putting my focus where what was my original plan when I went to college was, well, I wanted to have my own business. I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to not miss anything out on my with my kid. And now I have three of them. And I felt like I hadn't really achieved anything up until I really start to see my business take off once I started to redirect my full focus towards a business. If I wasn't being a mom, I was running a business. And I mean, you kind of felt that too when we started talking. I was like, I'm not calling a babysitter to hang out with you. I'm not doing and it wasn't
And you
just
know what?
for me to be mean or be like, oh, I'm a bad bitch or this and that. But
No.
I was not prepared to give my time to anything or anyone else if it wasn't going to bring me what I needed. I had to learn to be selfish like that. And,
100%.
you know, but doing all of that and going through everything that I went through in my life, and it took me till my 30s to really realize you have to just surround yourself. And if it means you've got two people in your corner, that's better than a bunch of fake people. It's better than a bunch of people dragging you down, funneling you for, your funds or your resources or your energy. Like they say, misery loves company. And if you're open to it, those people are going to leech on.
And don't let like your mom or your sister or somebody tell you, like, oh, but if you do this, how are you gonna find a man? How are you gonna like? No, like the reason why I even stuck around was because I was like, I love her focus. I love the fact that she is not gonna hang out with me and leave her kids. And I'm like, no, let's just chill then. Whatever, hour that you have, like, I want to know what you're doing because it seems like whatever you're doing is working.
We
like,
hung out on the porch a lot.
and we would just bullshit like about like work. Like she would ask me about DJing, or and I would ask her about photography, and obviously there's a lot to talk about. But the fact that like I knew, oh, she's doing shit, she's getting her shit together. That I don't want to bother her. Whatever time she does give me, I'm gonna like treasure it. Like that's the fact that she has that, knowing her schedule, knowing how much she slept, knowing how much time she put into her business, and then yet gave me the opportunity to be like, hey, you know what? If I have a few hours to hang out, I'm like, yeah, I'm grateful that you want to hang out with me. Like,
He always showed up with beer and food, so he was allowed to come over. I'm like, ooh, he comes with snacks. Yes.
I'm a gentleman.
But
But that's the thing. What I'm trying to get at is like, if you're worried about that love is not gonna find you, love will find you eventually. The right person will find you eventually. Just keep
100%.
doing you. Like that's it.
You shouldn't have to go find it. You shouldn't have to go force it. You shouldn't have to go make it work.
Don't bring yourself down for somebody. Like,
Don't suck up. Well, yeah, you're kind of like almost you're belittling your own self.
Yeah.
You're lowering your own standards just to make something work because you don't want to start over. You're afraid to start over. Don't get me wrong. Like I was scared. We were going into I had broken up with the girl's dad to January 2020, and we were going into the pandemic, and it was scary. I wasn't working the way I was supposed to be working. I had just had a baby a few months before. I was scared. I was very terrified, but I just kind of said, you know what, God, I trust you. I asked you for clarity. I asked you to get the toxic people out of my life. And if we were already having problems, so if this isn't meant for me and this isn't going to work, get this person out of here and away from me. I would much rather be scared and maybe feel alone, but I've been through enough breakups to know that you're gonna heal. It doesn't take long. Like you will bounce back. You will be fine. And I'll get through it. And sure enough, and it happened like boom, 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 out of the house, and I was able to focus and truly build my business, and it's crazy. I'm stubborn. That's what it took all of that for me to get where I'm at. So I can't sit here and just say that, oh, I played all my cards right with my career. I did not. My relationships very much did play a big part. I mean, because when you're not at work, what are you doing? You're in your relationship. So that's your other part of your life. So it does play a big factor, and who you're with, who you have in your circle, even if they're not actively playing a part in your career, it makes a big difference. It makes a big difference on how quickly you grow as well. But I'm glad to be where I'm at now. I'm glad that I, saw what powers I had, basically, so to speak. And it's just from 2020 and on, we have just watched numbers double, triple, sessions, clientele, maxing out days. Like before, I'd have like a few appointments a week, and I thought I was tight shit. Like, oh, I got 10 appointments this week. Yeah. Like, oh, I'm working.
Man, like, I thought I had 1 gig a month, and I'm like, I'm popping.
Yeah,
I am.
People
popping.
know me.
Yeah, nah.
And now, I mean, we have to every month we have to sit down and have a meeting and go over our studio hours to kind of cater to the amount of people, because I mean, if we wanted to, we could be here at least, open 10 hours a day each day, and we would fill our time slots. But I have to, take care of my family. I have to rest, eat. And so
if it was up to me and you, we'd work all the time.
We'd work all day, every day.
It's
but we have families.
It's just we have our kids, and we have to make time for them. Like, but man, we'd be millionaires already.
Right. Yeah. I'd make a lot more money. But,
oh my gosh.
But you know what? I pace myself. I try to not bite off more than I can chew, and I mean, we stay busy. We work Wednesday through Sunday. I work Wednesday through Sunday, and for the most part, we're always full, sold out. Like, I think my weekends are already sold out for the rest of the month and going into May. Not that I like turning clients away, but that's where I've built it to. We're at the point to where it's, there's times we have to turn clients away, or we let them know, hey, we don't have this week, but we can push you into next week, and so forth.
And you know what? And if you guys have questions on how we deal with that, we're more than happy to let you know how we do it, because we a lot of stuff we figured out on our own,
trial and error.
But we've noticed that it's, as long as you're informative, you're polite, and you're direct and clear, there shouldn't be a problem.
People understand. I mean, and if your work does speak for itself, which is one thing that I was big on when we, I don't really advertise. I don't. I think maybe only a couple holidays I paid for advertising, but I do not advertise. I am a big believer on, if your work is good, it should sell itself, especially when you're in the on art industry.
And we have social media, guys. Use it. Use your social media. It is free. It's free of charge.
It's free advertising, and social media does all the work to connect you to everyone in the world, in your area.
Learn the hashtags, learn the trends, whatever it is.
So it didn't just happen. I didn't just post a photo on Facebook and then boom, everyone booked me and it took off. Not at all. And it took time. Put the time. And I call it, do your homework.
Yeah.
Do your homework as far as you got the hiccups?
No. Oh yeah. Oh no, I burped.
Do your homework as far as learn your social media, learn your audience, learn what works for you, and watch trends.
You have an iPhone.
Yes.
That means you have a camera, you have a voice recorder, you have a notes, like you have somewhere to take notes, you have calendar, you have everything.
We use it all.
Your cell phone. I use my cell phone for everything.
We have a catalog of just shared notes.
That's it.
Between me, him, and my assistant, where we talk about either what we need to do for that week, what needs to be completed, or
we use Facebook to share our schedule.
Employee schedule.
Employee schedule. Like it's just use it. We have it. Just use it.
Yeah. So it's definitely grown, because even having employees is something new. Having You here even on our team is something new. You just joined us in October of 2023 last year. And for the longest time it was just me and Dominique, and oh my god, we would work from 9 to 11, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. every single day because we saw what we could build and the potential that we could put, with the potential that we had with this business. And um she knew her role, I knew my role, and we went with it, and it's grown,
Yeah.
it really has grown. And this year, I don't know what, I just texted her the other day too. Her name's Dominique, my sister Dominique, and I just texted her and I just said, you know what, I know that we were going to take a vacation in July and have the studio closed for about 2 weeks. I said, but we have so many organizations messaging us about wanting to work with us, wanting to line up my photography business, the mobile photography business, everything else. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. And it's a great problem to have. I really want to take this vacation.
But
I've been postponing it, but
we have this podcast.
I don't
now.
know what I don't know what we've been putting out in the
have
universe, but the
too much
universe is responding back.
commitment right now to try to take this vacation.
Yeah.
I would love to. Don't get me wrong, but it's just.
Or we have to do it in 2 parts. We
Yeah.
wanted to go to Cabo also.
Yeah.
So
But
we
it's
might
just
have to do it in 2 parts.
2 weeks is too long, to be honest.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's that side also of, well, when your business takes off, be prepared for that. There's going to be like, and this is kind of what I did. I saw that my business was really taking off. And I said, you know what? Before I truly start to reinvest even more and it be like, it was already a real business, but I'm talking like we're moving up with employees and like we got to make some real money. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to enjoy it. I've been working hard all these years. I've been broke all these years. I've been hungry all these years. I'm going to enjoy it. And last year, can you count how many concerts we went to? We went and saw every comedy show we wanted, every concert. And I mean, it wasn't just like, oh, we went and saw Drake. No, we saw Drake on the floor. We saw Alicia Keys, front row. Mm-hmm. We went to
Lizzo.
Oh, what was Tiffany Haddish? We saw her front row. Lizzo, we saw floor seats. And I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed the year. I enjoyed, basically, I hate to use this term, but I enjoyed my money. Mm-hmm. And this year I told myself, okay, this is the year. It's my 20th anniversary. It's a great mark for everything. This is when we are going to start being open to working and partnering with corporations, nonprofit organizations. And without even trying, we've been reached out to by a variety already. And we have quite a few things in place. So even when the studio's closed on Mondays and Tuesdays, I'm in meetings. Yeah. We're in meetings with tech people, web designers, and it's going. And everyone's like, you should buy a house. And I'm like, no.
So much more we got to do.
There's so much other things that I want to do and venture into. I don't want 2 mortgages.
Yeah.
So it works for now. It works for now, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see where everything's going. But yeah, and I mean, I try to not talk so long, but I guess in a nutshell, we can cut it later where I babble a lot. But that's kind of my career in photography. And let's be real, people have babies every day. Yeah. The baby industry, the kid industry, baby photography, that's where it's at. And when I realized that I needed to be home and present for my kids, especially having 3 of them, I realized where I made my mistakes with my son, with being absent a lot of the time, photographing shows till 2 a.m. or supporting, one of my ex-husbands or something at a show or whatever. I lost a lot of time from being the parent that I owed to my son. And so I decided to walk away from doing the concerts. And actually the last concert that I shot was the, what's his name? He's in prison now. Yes, the R. Kelly show that came here, I think, to the Sound Arena. That was my last big show. Okay, I know who aside of that, I love his songs. I love his music.
We all do. Unfortunately.
But and so I was still excited to be there, and it was right before he got arrested and convicted. But some of the best shots I've ever taken, though. They were great shots, like photography wise, art wise. I'm gonna share them at some point too, because I realized on my Facebook page I don't have any work of like my concert work at all, and that would be cool to kind of share with everyone. We do have a website coming up. I have a website coming up, and it's gonna showcase everything that I can do. I'm more current as and with pricing, so that you guys can all, whoever wants to visit, can go and navigate a lot easier to book an appointment. So you're not always waiting on us to reply. But
and it'll be informative. It'll have everything you need to know as far as what to expect in the session, what our sessions include, themes, backgrounds. So you're not constantly just trying to find something on our Facebook. I know Facebook is kind of unorganized.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's going to be very clear for y'all.
I'm excited for this podcast, though. I think this is going to go in a good direction. We definitely, we're going to, every segment I think should have like a story time or something, because I've got tons of stories to tell. I got tons of things to say, but yeah, this is going to be for a little bit of everything. I think anything, that's why I said anything and everything, whatever's kind of on our mind. If we want to give advice, say we come across, a certain situation with the career, with the business, we can kind of impart our wisdom, how we problem solved. You can feel free to send us your questions as well. And then we're here to talk about life. We're always all business on social media. We're always all business sometimes if you do run into us on a job, but I mean, we're real people. We, as much as we love each other, we fight with each other, we disagree, and we try our best to keep this family afloat, keep this business afloat, kind of always see the bigger picture and just make it work. And we're just living life and try to enjoy it. And while we're on the way, if we can, encourage, the youngsters, the younger generation along the way, why not? If that's the way that I can give back, if I can inspire a single mom, if I can, like I said, if I can inspire someone that's going through a divorce or a hard time in their life, like, your situation is not forever. I have lived the life of at least 4 different women in the last 15 years. And everyone has a sad story. But what do you do with it? What do you do with that story? How do you flip the ending? And it's doable, and I did it out of little crappy Fresno, with my little crappy pay for a while. But I made the sacrifices and when they tell you make sacrifices and you're going to have to live a life that you're not accustomed to living to get to one that you want to reach to. And it's very much true. Like, that road, it exists, and there is an ending to that road. There is, if you keep going, you will see the end of it. But if you quit just mid-road, that's where you're going to stay.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to share this. I feel like I had always felt like there was something more that I needed to do beyond photography, and I feel like this is it right here. Mm-hmm. This is the platform.
Yeah. So we'll be having guests.
Oh, we'll be having guests eventually.
I won't always be here. This is mostly Isabel's world. I just live in it. But no, this is going to be something it's going to be good. It's going to be fun.
And we're not man-hating or anything, but I primarily want to feature women in business that are doing the same thing I am. Maybe not necessarily a photographer, but maybe they're a teacher, a lawyer, a daycare provider. Maybe they'll kind of talk about something in their career that will spark your interest and say, hey, you know what? Maybe I want to get into it, or I want to reach out, or maybe they've got job opportunities. Who knows? But I very much would like to feature women in business, women who are doing things, and kind of go from there. We met so many people along the way in our careers that we've got people coming. Yeah, for sure. But we first want to establish this is the Izzy and Rek show, for sure. But thank you guys for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you. What?
Like and subscribe.
Ah!